Stay till the end, because the secret they don't tell you about this prison might make you question everything you think punishment is supposed to do. And don't forget to subscribe. Level 1. Arrival. The gates open. No razor wire. No guard towers. No searchlights cutting through fog. Just pine trees, a gravel path, fresh Norwegian air. You blink. You check the paperwork again. Bastøy Prison, Horten Municipality, Norway. Yes, this is real. You were convicted. You were sentenced. And they sent you here. The island sits quietly in the Oslo fjord. Seagulls overhead. A ferry in the distance. A corrections officer. No, they call them contact officers here. Walks toward you. No weapon on his hip. No intimidation in his eyes. He reaches out a hand. Welcome. Let me show you around. You don't know whether to laugh or cry, because where you came from. Arrival meant strip searches, shouting, cold concrete, the sound of a cell door slamming behind you like a verdict. Here it sounds like wind through birch trees, and you're standing there wondering, is this a trick? Coming up, your first look inside, and trust me, it's not what you expect. Level 2, the cell that isn't really a cell. They walk you to your room, not your cell, your room, a small wooden cottage, a real bed, a window with actual curtains, a desk, a lamp you can turn on and off yourself. You have a key, your key. You can lock your own door, from the inside, like a human being. There's a kitchen down the hall, shared with your housemates. You cook your own meals, you decide when to eat. You stand in the middle of this room, and you feel something strange. Dignity. It hits you like a wave. Because for months, maybe years, my comedy has treated you like you had any. And now here you are, in a Norwegian prison, with curtains. Bastøy holds around 115 inmates, on an island just 2.5 square kilometers. They grow their own food, they raise horses, they run a small farm. During the day you work, you have a job, carpenter, farmer, kitchen worker, even a small shop on the island. You can work there too. They pay you, not much, but they pay you. Now here's what nobody tells you. The guards outnumbered, about 70 staff for 115 inmates, and yet violence is almost non-existent. No riots, no stabbings, no constant fear hanging in the air like smoke. Why? That answer comes later. Keep watching. Level 3. The rules that aren't really rules. You'd expect a long list. Rules about when to sleep, rules about when to speak, rules about where your eyes can go when a guard walks past. But Bastøy operates differently. The philosophy here has a name, restorative justice. The idea is radical and simple at the same time. Don't just punish a person. Fix what broke inside them. You're expected to behave like an adult. Because they're going to treat you like one, you attend therapy, you sit in group sessions, you talk, actually talk about what you did, about why, about who you were before, about who you could be after. Nobody screams at you. Nobody degrades you. There are no solitary confinement cells. No isolation is punishment. If you break the rules, and yes, there are rules, you have a conversation. An actual conversation. What happened? Why? What do we do now? It sounds soft. It sounds naive. Until you look at the numbers. Norway's reoffending rate? Around 20%. The United States, over 60%. The UK, nearly 50%. Same planet, same humans, completely different results. So what are they doing differently? Level 4. A day in your life. 6:30 a.m. Your alarm goes off. Your alarm, you set it yourself, you shower. Make coffee in the shared kitchen. Maybe scramble some eggs. You're talking to the guy at the counter. Murder conviction 7 years in. He's telling you about the horses today. His eyes are alive. Breakfast done. You head to your work assignment. The farm is cold this morning. Your breath fogs in the air. The ground is half frozen. But there's something here. Purpose. You're building something, growing something, contributing something, not just existing in a box, not just waiting. Lunch, you sit with your crew. Normal conversation, normal food, not gray slop on a tray. Afternoon, maybe a class. Some inmates are finishing their education here. High school diplomas, vocational certificates. Some are learning English. Some are taking college courses. Because the idea is, when you leave, you should be better equipped than when you arrived. Not more damaged, not more broken, not more criminal. Evenings are yours. You might read, watch TV in the common room, play chess, call your family. Your family. You're not cut off from them. Contact is encouraged, because when people have ties, real ties, they have something to come back to, something worth protecting. Lights out isn't a command barked through a speaker. You go to sleep when you're tired. In your room, with your key, behind your curtains, and for a moment, just a moment, you almost forget where you are. That's the point. Level 5, the island's dark history, but here's what they don't put on the tourism brochures. Bastøy Island has not always been peaceful. Go back to 1900. This same island held a reform school for boys. Reform was a generous word. Children, some as young as 7, were sent here for petty crimes, for being poor, for being inconvenient. They were beaten, starved, forced to labor in brutal conditions. In 1915, the boys rebelled. They burned buildings. They fought back. The army was called in to suppress children. That history lives in the soil here. And somehow, but Norway looked at that history and decided to build something opposite, to take a place of cruelty and make it a place of healing. Why does that matter to you, sitting in your wooden room with your curtains? Because the world doesn't have to stay what it was. And neither do you. That's what Bastøy is quietly, stubbornly saying, every single day. Level 6. What the critics say. Let's be honest, you've been thinking it. This is too soft. These people did terrible things. Why should criminals live better than some law-abiding citizens? It's a fair question, and Norway has heard it. The prisoners at Bastøy are not all minor offenders. Murder, rape, serious drug offenses. These are not parking ticket convicts. And yet, the system says, even so, even you still get treated like a human being. Now, critics also point out, Norway is small, relatively homogeneous historically. High trust society, strong social safety nets, fair, these things matter. Context matters. You can't just drop Bastøy into a different country and expect identical results overnight. But here's what you can't argue with. The results. When you spend less on reoffending, you spend less on victims, less on courts, less on new prisons, less on the whole grinding machine. It's not just moral, it's math. Level 7. The officer who has no gun. Meet Tom, composite character, representative of real Bastøy staff. Tom has worked at Bastøy for 11 years. He doesn't carry a weapon. He doesn't wear riot gear. He doesn't speak to inmates like they're animals. He knows their names, their stories, their kids' names. He eats lunch in the same building. He has conversations, real ones. This is by design. Norway trains corrections officers for 2 years. 2 full years of education before they're allowed to work in a prison. They study psychology, ethics, human rights law, conflict resolution. In many countries, officers get weeks, sometimes days, and the relationship between staff and inmates at Bastøy. It isn't warmth for the sake of warmth, it's strategy. When a person feels seen, when they feel respected, they behave differently. Not always, not immediately, but over time. The data proves it. Tom has watched men arrive broken, violent, closed off, full of rage, and leave quieter, purposeful, ready. Not all of them, but enough. That's what keeps him coming back. Level 8. The moment you forget. 3 months in, you're working in the garden, hands in cold dirt, sun low on the horizon. This is Norway after all, and something happens. You forget. For exactly 4 seconds, you forget you're in prison. You're just outside, working, breathing, living, and then it comes back. The memory of what brought you here, what you took from someone, what you destroyed. And instead of that memory making you rage, instead of turning it into fuel for more destruction, you feel something else. Weight. Real weight. The kind you can only feel when the noise stops, when no one is screaming at you, when no one is stripping you of every shred of personhood, when you're finally quiet enough to hear your own conscience. That's the dirty secret of Bastøy. The punishment isn't absent, it's internal. The shame you carry, the reckoning you face, in a cell full of noise and violence and humiliation. That reckoning never comes. There's too much chaos to think, too much survival happening. But here, quiet, that's where you meet yourself. Level 9. What happens when you leave? Release day. You take the ferry back to the mainland. In your pocket, a vocational certificate, a letter of recommendation from your work supervisor, a reintegration plan, contact information for a housing coordinator, and a small amount of savings from 2 years of island work. Norway doesn't just open the gate and say good luck. There are programs, housing support, job placement, ongoing counseling, because they know the gate isn't the finish line. The gate is where the real test begins. The man beside you on the ferry was in for robbery. 6 years. He's got a job lined up, a room. His sister is meeting him at the dock. He's nervous. You can see it. But he's not the same man who stepped off this ferry 6 years ago. Something changed. Not everything, not magically, but enough. And that's the quiet revolution of Bastøy. Not headlines, not drama. Just enough. Enough to matter. Enough to change the math. Enough to mean one less victim. Level 10. The secret. They don't tell you. Here it is. The real question Bastøy is asking, the one that makes governments uncomfortable, is not, do criminals deserve this? The real question is, what do you want them to be when they come back? Because they are coming back. 95% of prisoners in Norway and America, in the UK, everywhere, are eventually released. The question was never if. The question is always who. Do you want them to come back? Hardened, traumatized, networked with more criminals, more likely to reoffend? Or do you want them to come back with skills, with a chance, with something to lose? Bastøy made a choice. And for decades, quietly, on a small island in the Oslofjord, it has been proving the world wrong. Not loudly, not with press conferences, just with numbers, and with men who go home and stay home. You're back on that ferry, wind off the water, mainland in the distance. You think about the curtains, the quay, the horses, the cold mornings with your hands in the earth. You think about Tom, who learned your name on day 1. You think about the 4 seconds in the garden when you forgot. And then you remember the boy you were before everything went wrong. The ferry docks, you step off, and for the first time in years, you don't look back. If you made it to the end, ask yourself this. If the goal is safety and the evidence is clear, what exactly are we afraid of changing?